For years, I was obsessed. I was that person who'd fish a plastic bottle out of a trash can to put it in the right bin. I rinsed every single yogurt container, memorized the little numbers inside the chasing arrows symbol, and felt a real spark of pride wheeling my overflowing recycling bin to the curb each week. I truly believed I was doing my part. That I was on the front lines of a quiet battle to save the planet, one plastic clamshell at a time. Then, I found out it was all based on a lie. And not a small one, but a massive, decades-long deception. A lie that has cost us more than just our time and water. It's a lie that has actively blocked real environmental progress and protected the very industries causing the problem. What if the story we've all been sold about recycling isn't just incomplete? What if it's the biggest obstacle we face? The promise versus the reality. We all know the promise. It's a clean, simple loop. You use something, you toss it in a blue bin, and through the magic of recycling, it becomes a new product. It's a story of redemption for our waste. That chasing arrows symbol itself feels like a guarantee. But it's not. For many materials, especially plastic, that symbol is more of a hopeful suggestion than a statement of fact. The hard numbers are staggering. The EPA's 2018 data put the US plastic recycling rate at less than 9%. More recent analyses from 2021 suggest it could have dropped as low as 5 to 6%. Globally, it's estimated that of all the plastic waste ever produced, only about 9% has ever been recycled. The picture is undeniably bleak. The overwhelming majority of plastic isn't being recycled. So, why is the system so broken for plastics? First, the basic science. An aluminum can is just aluminum. You can melt it down and make a new can, over and over, with almost no loss in quality. Same for a glass bottle. But plastic isn't one thing, it's a family of hundreds of different polymers. That number inside the triangle? That's a resin code telling you what kind of plastic it is. Number 1 plastics, PET, used in soda bottles, and number 2 plastics, HDPE, used for milk jugs, are the most commonly recycled. But once you get past those two, the rates plummet. You can't just melt different plastics down together. It would be like trying to bake a cake with flour, eggs, and a bag of cement. The result is useless. So, everything has to be painstakingly sorted. But even with perfect sorting, contamination from food, paper labels, or the wrong type of plastic can ruin an entire batch. And unlike glass or aluminum, most plastic can't be infinitely recycled. It's usually downcycled. While some plastic bottles do get recycled back into new bottles, especially in areas with good collection systems, a huge amount of plastic gets turned into things like carpet fiber or fleece jackets, after which its next and final stop is almost always the landfill. It's less of a circular loop and more of a one-way ramp to the dump. The investigation: who sold us this lie? If the system is so flawed, why do we all believe in it so deeply? This is where the story takes a dark turn. Because our belief wasn't an accident. It was engineered. Back in the 70s and 80s, public concern about plastic waste was growing. People saw litter piling up, and lawmakers started considering things like bottle deposit bills or even outright bans on certain disposable products. The plastics industry, which is tied to the fossil fuel industry, saw this as an existential threat to its business model of endless, single-use growth. So, they devised a brilliant strategy: shift the responsibility for the waste their products created onto us, the public. They did this through a massive PR campaign. Industry-funded groups like Keep America Beautiful launched ads that are now burned into our collective memory. They promoted the idea of the litterbug, an irresponsible person who was to blame for pollution. The most famous example was the 1971 Crying Indian ad, which powerfully cemented the idea that pollution was a problem of individual behavior, not industrial production. At the same time, plastics industry trade groups pushed for that chasing arrows symbol to be put on everything, even on plastics they knew weren't likely to be recycled. It was a masterful act of greenwashing. As reporting from NPR and PBS Frontline has revealed, internal documents and interviews with former executives show that major industry players knew that large-scale, profitable plastic recycling wasn't an economically or technically viable solution. But they promoted it anyway. The lie wasn't that recycling was impossible. The lie was that recycling could ever solve a crisis of exponentially increasing production. By making us all meticulously sort our trash, they gave us a sense of control and took all the pressure off of them to change the real problem. They were, and still are, flooding the world with a product designed to be thrown away. If finding out you've been the target of a 50-year-long marketing campaign makes your blood boil, you're not alone. The only way this narrative changes is if more people learn the truth. So please, take a second to hit the like button and share this video with someone who needs to see it. Getting this information out there is the first step. The false promise of advanced recycling. The industry knows people are catching on to the failure of traditional recycling. So now, they have a shiny new talking point: advanced recycling, also known as chemical recycling. The pitch sounds incredible. Instead of just melting plastic, these technologies use chemicals and heat to break it down into its original molecular building blocks. In theory, you could turn a dirty yogurt cup back into pristine, new plastic, creating a true circular economy. It seems like the perfect fix. But when you look past the marketing, reports from government agencies and independent experts paint a very different picture. These advanced recycling facilities are incredibly expensive, consume enormous amounts of energy, and struggle with shocking inefficiency. In fact, many forms of chemical recycling are just a complicated way of turning plastic into a dirty fuel to be burned, releasing its own emissions. It's less recycling and more a polluting waste-to-energy scheme. While some technologies do aim for true circular plastic production, they are still facing massive technical and economic hurdles and operate at a very limited scale. Just like with traditional recycling decades ago, advanced recycling is being sold as the magic bullet. But critics see it as another convenient distraction. It's a promise of a futuristic solution that allows the plastic tap to keep gushing, all while delaying the real, simpler solutions we already have. This is part of a pattern of alleged deceptive marketing that has led authorities in states like California to investigate and take legal action against major plastic producers. The revelation: shifting our focus. This is the point where it's easy to feel hopeless and just say, well, I guess I'll throw everything in the trash. But that is the wrong takeaway. The goal of this knowledge isn't to make you give up. It's to make you angry, and smart about where you direct your energy. Here's the most important nuance: the problem isn't that you recycle. Concerns that personal environmental actions, like recycling, make people less likely to support larger, systemic policies are often overstated. In fact, several studies suggest the two can and do coexist. The act of recycling itself isn't the villain. The villain is the lie that recycling alone is the answer. The problem is when it's used as a smokescreen by corporations and governments to avoid the real solutions. So, what are those real solutions? They all happen upstream, before a product ever gets to you. First and most powerful is reduction. We simply have to make and use less disposable plastic. This means supporting bans on unnecessary single-use items and embracing business models that move away from disposability. Second is reuse. We need to build systems that prioritize refillable and reusable packaging. This isn't some new idea, it's how the milkman used to operate, and it's how many countries sell beverages today. And the third, most critical lever is regulation, specifically something called Extended Producer Responsibility, or EPR. EPR laws flip the script. They make the company that produces the packaging financially responsible for what happens to it at the end of its life. Suddenly, a hard-to-recycle package isn't your problem, it's theirs. When companies have to pay for the waste they create, they have a powerful financial incentive to design packaging that's easier to recycle or, even better, designed for reuse. States like California, Oregon, Colorado, and Maine have already passed EPR laws for packaging, finally starting to build a foundation of accountability. For decades, we've been told a story that puts the burden of the global waste crisis on our shoulders. We've been made to feel guilty for littering and responsible for sorting materials that corporations knew had little chance of ever being recycled at scale. The truth is, your personal recycling habits were never going to solve a problem of industrial overproduction. The lie wasn't that recycling is useless. For materials like aluminum and glass, it works incredibly well. The lie was that individual consumer recycling could be our primary solution to the plastics crisis. It was a convenient excuse that let the real polluters off the hook. The solution isn't to stop caring. It's to stop falling for the distraction. Don't let your effort end at the blue bin. Let that be the starting point for your anger, your voice, and your demand for a better system. We need to channel our energy away from being perfect consumers and toward being engaged citizens who demand change from the top. So don't let the recycling bin become a political smokescreen. Recycling is a tool, but when it comes to plastic waste, it's one of the last and weakest we should rely on. Reduction is the strategy. Reuse is the innovation. And demanding corporate accountability? That's the real fight.